Yeah, we doing this Theranos thing here. For those of y'all that don't know, this is Elizabeth Holmes. She was the founder of a company called Theranos, uh, and she she went to the heights of heights and took the fall of falls. Now, why am I talking about Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos? She was the first female self-made billionaire. You know, other females have been made billionaires by divorcing their husbands. She was the first woman that did not divorce her husband or inherit billions to become a billionaire. So everybody thought that was a pretty good situation. I mean, I do at least. That's pretty good. However, there's more to the story. Okay, Elizabeth Holmes. She founded a company back in 2003 called Theranos, and it was a company that tested um, blood. And instead of testing blood from uh, a vial gotten by a syringe, like normally happens in a hospital, Theranos had a machine called the Edison machine, and the blood was put into a cartridge. A little prick of blood was put into a cartridge. The cartridge was then inserted into the machine, and then the machine actually supposedly ran over 200 or 300 tests um, on the blood, and then from there, the machine automatically, via the internet, sent the results of the tests to the doctors, and the doctor was able to see what was going on with the patient. That was how it was supposed to go, but it never happened that way. The machines, to make a long story short, they didn't work the way they were supposed to work, for a variety of different reasons. It just didn't work the way she said it was going to work. But she had problems because Walgreens, Safeway, and all these couple other companies decided to put wellness centers using just the Theranos machines in their stores. So they invested hundreds of millions of dollars into Theranos and into their stores to get them ready for this Theranos situation. Well, actually, the day came where Theranos was supposed to set up the machines. That never happened. They kept telling Safeway and Walgreens, they had delays and they had these component problems, that component problem. So they just kept on delaying. Finally, they started doing them, setting up the wellness centers, but instead of testing on their own equipment, they started testing on third party equipment. And because the tests that they ran on their own equipment was so outrageous, they couldn't trust it. So they started using third party equipment, but they were lying to everybody, telling everybody, oh, it's okay. We're just doing this to double check our own findings. So she was running around lying to everybody. Now, like I said, why am I? Well, let me finish the story. Anyway, employees at Theranos noticed that this thing was never going to work. It was never going to work. And so they went to her to try to tell her, hey, this was never going to work. So she fired them. Anybody that said anything about how it wasn't going to work, she fired them. Not listened to them, said, let's try to do something about it. She just straight out fired them. So she did she followed the Hitler and the Stalin uh, way of doing things. Whoever says you're not, whoever tries to correct you, you kill them or fire them, right? Well, she didn't kill them, thank God. She fired them, right? She just got rid of everybody. She just got rid of the people that weren't yes men. So that's bad. Once you're surrounded by nothing but yes men or women, that's bad, because there's nobody to tell you, you know, how that you're going too far and you're coming close to a fall. Anyway, moving along. So, bottom line, she was the CEO. She was the founder of the company. She was the head one in charge. She was worth $9 billion. All these people invested in this company, including Rupert Murdoch, some other people, rich people. A lot of these people invested, a lot of major players invested in this company, gave it a total market cap of $9 billion. And this lady was worth $5 billion just by herself, right? I mean, that was the heyday, right? Well, like I said, people started getting at her saying, hey, even a lot of people, she hired a lot of people from Apple, away from Apple, to get them over there to work. But even most of she ended up firing, or they either quit or got fired because they started realizing this thing is not going to work. And she did not want to listen to constructive criticism. She just got rid of everybody who was, telling her this thing wasn't going to work.
The master of the flying guillotine. And he's ready to blow your mind.
So, fast forward, a reporter does a news story on this thing about how he talks to a bunch of different employees that either got fired or either quit or whatever. He does a news story talking to all of these different people and just blows the lid off of this thing. And, the truth comes out about Theranos, how it was just a big scam. And they basically scammed $9 billion out of the marketplace. Anyway, internally, she was the boss, but she hired another guy that she had knew from a while back called Sunny Balwani. Now, Sunny Balwani was the COO of Theranos. She made him the COO of Theranos. She was CEO, but he was the COO. She had a CFO, but she fired the guy because the guy was telling her, hey, man, this is not working. This is not going, the way you doing with money is not working. She fired that guy, and she never replaced him. So there was nobody with any experience. There was nobody with any experience to tell her, hey, this is not working. This is what you should do to correct this situation financially. There was nobody that was there that was able, that with the experience of running a major company, to tell her this stuff. She never replaced the CFO. So their money problems just mounted and mounted and mounted. Anyway, the point I'm making about this situation is she brought this guy Sonny in, and he ended up becoming her boyfriend throughout the time that they had this business, right? Now, both of them have been indicted by the government on wire fraud charges, right? Now, here's the thing. Here's the kicker. When she got to be $9 billion, she got to have a $9 billion value. She did it by herself. She was a self-made billionaire by herself, right? Now that the whole thing has come apart, you know what her defense is? Her defense is, the big bad man, he made me do all this stuff. I'm just a poor, defenseless little woman, and the big bad man made me do it. That's her defense. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, man, wow. When she was a billionaire, she did it on her own. When the stuff started coming apart, now she's a woman. now she's a defenseless, poor little kid, little child woman who didn't know A. She didn't know A from B from C. She got hypnotized by this man, and he made her do all of this stuff. She's innocent. I don't think the jury's gonna buy it. She goes on trial today, but I don't think the jury's gonna buy it. But it's just another case of equality gone wrong. You know what I mean? You're equal when it comes to getting $9 billion, but then when it's time to take the blame, I'm a poor defenseless little woman. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm a little kid. I don't know what I'm doing here. I was just a poor little kid running around. You know, it was the man. He did everything. He made me do everything. I just was, you know, a little kid. I had to just do whatever he told me to do. But that's my opinion of the situation, man. What do you think? Is this equality? Is this equality? I mean, if you can take the $9 billion, you should be able to take the blame for when it goes to the floor as well, right? That's the way I see it. If we're gonna be equal, feminists, help us. Help feminists, help us. We need equality here. Can you help us with this equality? Because, like feminists say, you're not a little kid. You're a woman. Here you roar, right? You should be roaring when you get this. When they start handing out this time, you better be able to roar like a woman too, right? Can't say you're a woman, self-made woman, and then turn around and say, I was a little kid. I was when the ship comes apart. Oh, I wasn't actually in charge. It was this man who was actually in charge. He was running me. I was just a little kid. I couldn't make my own decisions. He had control over me. I was in a trance. Whatever. Anyway, I don't know. What do you guys think? I think I see what she's doing. I mean, it's probably her lawyers probably told her, hey man, this is probably the best way you can try to get out of this situation. So she's rolling with it, but I don't know. I think it's bad. And I think it shows the holes in feminism when unless we can get the feminists to go out there and protest at her trial. The feminists can go out there and protest at her trial and say, no. You was a woman when you got the $9 billion and when you was worth $5 billion, and you had did that all by yourself. Now that you get this whole situation coming apart, now you're a little kid. No. We can get the feminists to go out there and protest, maybe. I don't know. I like equality. I just thought this was a kind of crazy situation, how men could get blamed for when things go bad, it's the man's fault. But this is a microcosm of how life works. When things are good for a woman, she did it by herself. When things go bad, there's some big bad man around that made it all happen. But y'all tell me, am I crazy? Is Elizabeth Holmes crazy and her lawyer team's crazy? I don't think so. These guys probably look like they're getting paid $2,000 or $3,000 an hour. So I guess they doing what they know. You know, maybe people will actually feel sorry for her and say, "Oh, this poor girl, she was misled by this guy, the big bad man. She was misled by him. She was, she had her nose wide open. She wasn't a grown-up, right? She wasn't a Stanford dropout, right? She was just a little kid. Anyway, y'all tell me what y'all think.